Yeah.
So we start welcoming everybody to our fifth. This is our fifth webinar, right, Ausra?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
So we are getting, more and more visibility. And I think it seems to be a big interest in these webinars. We have many participants usually, and we have many interesting speakers that would like to participate too in the upcoming one. So we may increase the number of webinars in the coming spring. So watch out. We will try to be a little bit better with the advertising. We were ahead with the advertising, but then the link came maybe a little bit late during the weekend, but we will get better on that. And in the meantime, for the new ones who are joining, please scan in the QR code for our survey, because it's just a few weeks before we close it. And we wait 2 more minutes and then we can get started. And for all of you who are already online, please remember that you can write your questions in the chat or in the QA. So me and Ausra will read them after the talk, so we can have a nice discussion. Great. This with minutes and sergeants, right, Ausra?
Yeah.
1 more minute to go.
1 more minute.
And then you should send the sergeant out to take a coffee, if you really want to have those minutes to happen. Okay. Well, so if you have not done it yet, please scan our QR code for the survey, because I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I would like to welcome everybody to our 5th Women at the WoEUPSA webinar. Remember that the webinar will be recorded and will be posted in WoEUPSA YouTube channel within approximately a week from now. And please write your questions in the chat or in the QA button, so we will read them after the talk. So we hope to get you engaged in the discussions after this talk. And I don't have much more to say than give the work to my co-chair, Ausra, to introduce our speaker.
It's my pleasure. So hello, everyone, this evening. Even for the short notice, I'm very happy who joined us this evening. So I have a huge privilege and pleasure to share someone who honestly changed the direction of my professional life in a little bit, because we met with Justina during Leadership Academy in my hospital. She was hosting one of the seminars here. And when some people show up in your life, and they suddenly open the door that you didn't even know that existed in the first place. So Justina was the one who opened the door of innovation for me, and it's been a journey so far for me. It's not an easy one. So Justina is the person whose autobiography is a huge one, so I need to read only on this. So Justina is the founder and managing partner of the Future Leadership Innovation Lab, the founder of the Health Tech Accelerator, independent board member, lecturer, creator of Service Innovation course at the Southeastern Finland University. She's a guest lecturer that is a supervisor at the Side University. And she's very behind many innovation programs, from health tech acceleration program that I had the privilege to join, to the first Women Innovation Sprint in Lithuania, to the North Baltic Altar State Women Innovation Empowerment Program. And basically, if there is a project that helps people imagine and create the future, chances are that Justina somehow involved in it. And so when I met Justina and we started working together, when I started my journey, I really told Carmen and our WoEUPSA group that I really wanted and others to see another part of this journey that we can take as a health tech, like people working with medicine every day. So, and today, Justina will take us on a small journey into the future, as she wrote how the world would look like in 2030 and beyond. So please join Justina. And if you have any questions, as Carmen told us, feel free to write in the chat, and we will happy to answer with Justina afterwards. So Justina, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ausra, for invitation. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this lecture. It's my huge honor to be here. I heard about your group many months already, and Ausra was inviting me, so super, super happy to be here. I will share my screen and let's our meeting begin. I will... Okay. So what I wanted to share with you, I just wanted to talk a little bit about innovations, because as you already heard from my introductions, everything what I do within the innovation area, and I work in this area many years. And tonight I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the future, so how to work with the signals, how we can interpret them, and so on. So I will start a little bit from the environment, because I'm pretty much sure that each and every day you hear this term innovation and you think what to do with it, you work maybe in the projects. So why we talk so much about innovations? The first thing is because the business environment and environment in general changed a lot from the previous decades. Before, our work environment was like this Ferrari. Complicated, dangerous, fast, but actually all of us, if someone taught us how to assemble and disassemble this car, we could do it easily. Screw after screw, we would do it. Unfortunately, this business environment doesn't exist anymore. Currently, we work and operate in a business environment which is more similar to rainforest. So everything is interconnected. You start one initiative or one project or one collaboration where you thought that it will be super easy and minimum, but at the end you see that it's a huge project. The majority of times you start without knowing all information and so on. In this environment, we need to take into consideration four main things. First of all, we live in the age of customer experience, patient experience. So it means that they learn how to use Amazon, Bolt, and other all platforms, and they expect that every process, every interaction, it doesn't matter in which business, it should be very easy, just a couple of steps, and everything is clear. Unfortunately, for the hospitals and actually for other industries as well, it's quite a challenge. Still, it's quite a challenge. And not everything is so smooth and easy going. The second thing in this work environment is the economy of impatient. Especially this year, we noticed that more and more people, they are willing to become millionaires overnight. They want to heal from cancer in a couple of days and so on. And social media translate this message. And actually people started believing that it's possible, which is a huge misunderstanding. And we all agree here that you can't heal from chronic disease in a couple of hours or months, and you also can't become millionaire. But we will see this trend, and we need professionals, as professionals, to think what to do with that. The third thing is data analytic. And here I'm not talking about GDPR. We all know, we all love it, but I'm talking here more about experimentation. And we, as an employees or leaders, we need to say very, very fast, is it working or not? So for instance, if we work within the innovation project where we test some technologies, we should be able to calculate results to see is it working or not, and to provide feedback quite fast. So it means that we need to know these methodologies. We need to know how to experiment, how to conduct experiments, how to calculate the results. And the last thing, innovations are created within the sectors, so it's sectorless. So it means that if we are working in health industry, it's not enough to know everything just about the health. If we want to be an innovators, it means that we need to look around in not even related domains and try to understand the consumer behavior change, technology change, expectation change, and how we can incorporate them into our area, into the health area. The last 15 years, we saw tremendous changes within different areas. So for instance, world population grew exponentially, world GDP grew exponentially, land usage, technologies, and so on. Of course, for this all advancement, we paid a huge price. The climate change started, the rainforest cut was exponential. But the truth is that during the last 15 years, we created more changes than the entire sum of human history. And you can think to yourself, okay, it's interesting, but how the future will look like? Because, you know, if someone will ask you when all these changes will stop, so after this slide, I can assure you, never. But now we just need to understand how fast we will be in the future. So if we look into just one domain, for instance, digital transformation, we can see that we are at the beginning of this curve of digital transformation. Everything what might be digitalized, it will be digitalized. Even these areas which you think, oh, this one is somehow sacred and it won't, I pretty much sure that it will be. And tonight I wanted to discuss different signals just to show you how the changes are happening and what we can expect. And actually the good news is that for the first time in human history, we have tools to make these tremendous changes. So for instance, if we will take artificial intelligence, it will make bigger change than railway, electricity, or internet. So it means that we have all these very, very powerful tools in our hands, and we just need to use them in order to make our work efficient, in order to increase, to create maybe new products or something else. Another thing which is interesting, for the first time in human history, we have tools which can learn from themselves. We don't know what does mean for us yet. And we will discover most probably in 5 or 10 or maybe 15 years what does mean for us. But still we have this possibility now. And the last thing which I wanted to mention from the environment perspective, that, you know, when I used to work as a manager, team leader in corporates, we used to say, oh, maybe we need to wait for better times, then we will introduce innovations or we will start huge changes. But currently we live in perma-crisis period. So it means that one crisis after another is occurring. And we can't say as a leaders, as a team leaders, maybe that let's wait with any innovations, maybe next year or maybe in a couple of years, then the situation will be calmer. But I think and I believe that we all will agree that we live in such a unpredictable environment now that we can feel this perma-crisis each and every day. And it means that in order to move forward, we just need to create, we just need to start doing things. And it will not be like this, that the future will come and it will be more calmer or easy. That's why I wanted to discuss with you this future foresight methodology, which we can use for exploration purposes, which we can use for orientation, innovation, strategy, envisioning our profession future, envisioning our association future, envisioning our, expertise area future, and so on. So then we talk about future foresight. So it means that by analyzing different signals, we can expand our thinking horizons. And hopefully after my talk, at least you will hear something small and new, but it will expand your thinking horizons, what is possible and what is coming and how the world is changing. It also allows us to create more informed and educated decisions, because if we analyze different signals and ask ourselves what does it mean for us, it means that we start thinking and somehow incorporating these things into our daily thinking and ideas. It creates competitive advantage for sure, because we see the future, we can act on it, we can learn something new, we can try to use some new tools and so on. it makes us better decision makers, and it creates space for the change. So our creativity challenge, as I named my lecture, what will our world look like in 2035 and beyond? And, the interesting thing is when we ask this question, our analysis and our work should start from present analysis. Because what will the world will be in 10 or 15 years, someone is creating it already now. Someone is working on these new trends, new technologies, new devices, new proposals, solutions, processes, and so on. Some of these solutions might frighten us. Some of them might allow us to laugh, and we will say, oh, it's crazy. I don't believe it. It won't happen, and so on. But still, this is happening now, and that's why we will start working and analyzing a couple of these signals and trends. So when we talk about the future, the process looks like this. We need, first of all, to notice. That's why we will scan different signals. I will share with you different signals. While sharing these signals, we need to understand them. What does it mean for us? Is it strengthening our strategy? What does it mean for me as professional, and so on? So that's why we will analyze. I will share my ideas. You will have your ideas. And at the end of my talk, we can discuss. And the third thing is act. So it means that we scanned, we analyzed, and now we need to think how to apply. So this one I will leave for homework because tonight we won't be able to discuss how can I apply it very, very extensively, but still we can discuss a little bit. So here is the list of different articles or reports which I like to read, but I will leave these slides for you and you can review it later. What I want you to ask now I will start sharing these different signals. Stay very active listeners. Try to ask yourself, what does it mean for me? How it might strengthen or weaken my personal strategy, my hospital strategy, my division strategy? What are the opportunities? What risk? And how can we use it? Each time when I present the signal from more positive side, try to think about negative. If I'm talking more about negative, try to think about positive. And let's agree that I won't present any science fiction. All of these examples are true and someone created them. It's a working prototypes and so on. So if you are ready, let's dive into the first signal. In Sweden, and I know that some of you are from Sweden, in Felix Klimatbutiken, you can buy grocery products by using weekly CO2 budget, which is 18.6 kilograms. And for instance, if you like to eat more meat, in this grocery store, you won't be able to buy a lot of products. But if you choose to eat more plant-based diet, you will be able to buy quite a lot of things. Okay, so I saw this signal. How can I work with it and interpret? How can I get meaning out of it? So for me, this signal shows a couple of things. First of all, it's not enough to talk with our clients, patients, whomever it is, just that we care about climate change. Everyone is a little bit tired of these talks. Now people are looking for concrete examples how we can change their behavior, how we can interact with it. So it's a very good example and it's not the only one. The second thing which I read from this trend and signal is that more and more in the world we see pay-as-you-live principle in practice, where basically the way you live, the price you pay. For instance, one bank in the United States, we connected all these wearable devices with saving account. If you take care of yourself and your health, you walk 10,000 steps per day, you can earn more on your savings. If you are not taking care of yourselves, you are earning less. Insurance companies started integrating and sharing data with car manufacturers. So for instance, if I am crazy driver, I overspeed, I cross the lines constantly and so on, my insurance will cost more. If I am normal driver, my insurance will cost less. So think for yourself, what does it mean this signal in my area? How can I integrate in my work this one? Okay, Let's move on to another signal. Another signal comes from Space Cargo Unlimited. This startup, they decided to grow grapes in International Space Station. We all know that in the world currently we have just 5% of wild animals. Everything else is cows, pigs, and so on. So basically the animals which we eat. This startup, understanding that the nature is changing due to climate change, and they will lose grapes as a plant on Earth, they decided to increase its resilience level by planting it in International Space Station. We know that in International Space Station, the conditions is very harsh, and the plants and humans, we change a little bit their resilience level. So for me, the signal, what does it show? For instance, if I know that in the future, some main resources of my area, of my work will disappear, what can I do now? And this example shows us that we can take many actions. And I'm not talking just about physical things like grapes. We can talk about some professions, nurses. We know that everywhere the nurses numbers are decreasing. We are super lacking with competence. What can we do now in order to prevent these problems in the future? Very interesting. And of course, we can even make a provocation here a little bit. So do we need to limit our activities just on Earth? Because a lot of space-related innovations are happening there as well. Maybe one day you will do surgery there, how you will do it. Or maybe one day there will be hospitals, how we will work there. Do we have the necessary competencies? Maybe we need to think about it already now. It's very, very interesting trend area, which we could observe and think how the future might look like. Okay, the next trend which I wanted to mention this evening is personalization. You know, when I was young, we used to personalize our jeans, our cars with some different spoilers and so on. Currently, we live in the age where we can personalize our own DNA sequence in order to heal from different diseases. And I won't go into the medicine area because it's not my area and I don't want to touch it. But what I want to say, if we see such trend of personalization in health area, it will very, very soon spread to different areas as well. So the futurists, we are discussing that in the future, we won't have standard product because each and every individual, we think that we are unique, we are very different from others, and that we want personalized products. So if we will see this trend raising and growing in medicine area, for sure we will see the something similar in different areas as well. So let's think about what impact it might have on grocery, on clothes industry, or maybe pharmaceutical industry, and so on. So how it will change and what impact it will have. And medicine in general changing a lot because we used to prescribe medicine. Now we can prescribe software as a medicine. For instance, in Lithuania, WoEUPSA program received certification that it might be prescribed by doctor, and doctor can interact with the patients, see how many steps they walked, what heart level they had, and so on. So the landscape and the environment where we operate, it's changing a lot, and more technologies are involved into it. And our connections with the patient is completely going to the different level. Before, we used to have disconnected more relations, and now more and more connections are there, and this environment is changing very, very fast. I don't want to talk a lot about online hospital, but what I want to talk a little bit about is a hospital at home. So this trend is huge, and not just when it comes to the technologies, not just when it comes to the expectations, but I think that this area will boom in the future. So what can we do now in order to be ready for it? Because, you know, for me, it seems a little bit like deja vu moment, because I used to work 10 years in the banking industry. And when I started, I went also to Sweden to learn from my Swedish partners. And I saw for the first time retail bank branch where they don't have cash. They sit next to each other with the client. They use tablets for the consultation. Then I came back to Lithuania and started like telling my colleagues, you know, in the near future, we will work with our clients like consultants. We will sit in nice offices. We won't have like cash in our branches and so on. My employees, they literally thought that I got crazy. Literally, I can assure you. They were like, oh my God, something wrong with Justina. But now I can see the similar change happening here in hospitals area. Hospital at home or online hospitals are those concepts which grow very fast, and you can tell me even more what do you think and how do you foresee this situation. Here is in the picture Sant Joan de Déu hospital in Barcelona, which we visited with Ausra, I guess this at the beginning of this year. So this hospital is already introducing a lot of telemedicine solutions, and for me it's more like science fiction movie rather than the real picture from the real life. But imagine if we won't go to the hospital anymore, if we can do a lot of things at home, what does it mean for other industries? How it will change? Do we want to go to the bank? No, we are not going there anymore. Do we want to go to the grocery store? Most probably no. We won't be willing to go, and so on. So these changes which are happening in your industry, because it's health, and for me, health and banking is the most sensitive industries. These changes in your industry, they will impact the broader industries and the broader domain. And you actually are more like fashion trend industry now. Another very interesting thing, last week I was participating in Vienna in Peter Drucker Leadership Forum, where everything was about AI, of course, and the majority of speakers, they were talking about human and digital human workforce, or workforce beyond the human. So it's a huge area which we need to discuss and we need to consider and we need to think about. What does it mean for us to work hand in hand with technologies? How our work it will change? As you can see, I on purpose put it with provocative statements from NVIDIA, where they are saying that AI nurses cost less per hour and maybe they are more effective than humans. They don't need vocation and so on. But your area as well will be impacted by the technologies. So what does it mean for us? How our competencies should change? With which technologies we will work in hand, with which we don't want to work and we need to prevent from such future. I think those are the questions which we need to ask. But of course, in the future, more and more our teams will be created not just from humans, but from humans and technology. And here are also very psychological challenge, very big psychological challenge for us. Can we set the same expectations for our colleagues as we have for ChatGPT? Because when I interact with artificial intelligence, I expect it within the second to receive answer. Will I mimic my relations with technologies to humans teams? How can I prevent it from happening? What rules do we need to have? What conversations do we need to have with our teams in order to mitigate the situation? These technologies are powerful in another sense as well. They will allow us to answer questions which we never were able to answer. One of them, when we are going to die. Couple of years ago, we started working on technology which can predict when person will die. So of course, I am one of these people who don't want to know, exact date and think, I would say to this question. But then can we use these technologies? So of course, during the war period, during the pandemic period, maybe in the future we will somehow calculate the cost of care and we will use these technologies. I don't want to discuss so much about the efficacy of these programs, because I think it's like it will open doors for endless discussion and we won't have a good answer yet. But I think we can already start thinking about these kind of things which were not possible just a couple of years ago, but they will become most probably possible and quite accurate in the upcoming 5 to 10 years. And with all these technologies, also we have more and more challenges. One of them is expectation economy, as I already mentioned, and critical thinking. Here you can see in the slide Willy's Wonka event, where advertising was very colorful, very attractive. I would also go to this event if I saw such ad. But on the right hand side, you can see the reality. It's like, oh my gosh. You can see the place with a couple very crappy decorations, nothing even close to the ad and expectations which were created. So for me, this period of change with all these technologies and new advancement, it's very much about critical thinking. How we should encourage people, our employees, our colleagues, really to double check the information. Think, is it really true what we see? How we can check if it's true or not? How we can encourage this discussion within our teams? How we see different information and so on. Because we live in the world where we can't trust everything what we see anymore. And I don't know what about you, but I almost stopped using my social networks because I can't stand all these ads which I see in front of me, like one day before something, one day to win, one day to lose, one day something. Oh my God, it's like annoys me too much. So that's why I just trying to skip it. But for instance, with my children, more and more I have these very honest conversations. I have triplets, so 3 boys, they are 10 years old, and I really need to explain for them that everything what you see in these reels or these games, it's not true. Because I noticed that they started to mimic the content which we see before and after, or immediately something happens. So I think for us as an adults, it's very huge responsibility now to explain to younger generation that not everything is true what you are seeing, and how to separate and identify which is true, what is not. Okay, the next trend which I see, which I analyze, is humanoids. I'm super happy that they are coming in my household area. I don't want to wash dishes or do my laundry. I am a little bit worried about it as well, I need to be very honest, but more and more humanoids we will see in assembly lines, in the heavy lifting areas, where humans injury might be very hard. Companies started applying humanoids. So for instance, Mercedes, it's using it, Amazon, it's using it a lot. So for me, this trend shows one very big concern. So now we can be more efficient with all technologies. Now humanoids are helping us with a simple task. It's fine, I like it. But what about our time? Because we will work less, we will live longer, we will be richer, but we don't have work to do, basically. So for me, it raises concerns about meaning, about psychological problems which will happen in the future. and so on. And I think it's a huge thing, because if person lives quite well without purpose, without meaning, you know, I think that in the future we will feel bad about it. So starting now, we need to think, so what we are going to do? What other hobbies do we have? What we will do with our free time? Maybe we want to learn something new, and so on. And the last thing which I wanted to finish with signals analysis is learning environment. And I will give you 2 examples. So Roblox announced that children, they can change their games environment by just either typing or saying what we want. So for instance, please change this game environment from day to night. I don't like this character. Please add another one. Spotify, they introduced the remix feature to the Spotify program. So if I want to be a DJ, I can play with it, I can mix my songs, and so on. So imagine our younger generation, they are used to have these tools as their learning or in their leisure environment. So what expectations do we have for their work environment? They are coming to their workplace expecting that we can switch from one to another environment, that everything is integrated, that everything is very easy, accessible, and so on. And it's not just about working environment, it's about studying environment as well. We have these tools after the school hours, but still in the schools we are trying to force them to learn based on old-fashioned so-called environment. So for me, it's a huge challenge. I think that that's why more and more young children, we are not motivated with the school curriculum, because it's not enough engaging, it's not enough dynamic, it's not enough motivating. And I can foresee that in the future, these things will impact work relations as well. We can discuss about it that, of course, work is not play and we should stick to our rules. But if we are digital native, if we are artificial intelligent native, if we are using these technologies 10, 15 years before we are entering work environment, I think that then it won't be a question if work environment should change or not. We will face a problem and we will need to change it. So now the question is for you. What signals do you foresee from your area of expertise, from your hobbies, from the articles which you read? What changes does it represent? What will happen if these signals will become stronger or weaker, and so on? And to know everything what I discussed, we can, out of all this information and the information which you will add, we can create future forecast. So I would look into these signals and examples which I shared as a Lego bricks. So now we have on our table different Lego bricks, and we need to collect them and gather together. So the future forecast is a couple of sentences, 5-7 sentences about the future which you decided to analyze. And I will give you, just to end my talk, I will give you 2 examples. So one example comes from Estonia. I'm not sure if we have Estonian friends here, but please take a couple of seconds to read it. Is it very futuristic? I don't think so, because some of you might say that, Justina, the first half is already happening like this. The second half, we can see from signals or trends that it might happen. It's not very futuristic, so it's 50-50. Let's see another example. What about this one? Do you think it's very futuristic or so-so? I believe some of you started laughing while reading. Someone is a little bit scared, but I guess all of us will agree that this one is a little bit more futuristic. But from these two examples, what I wanted to show you, you observe different trends and signals. You put them on the table. Then you create this future forecast in the area which you want to analyze or which you want to envision how it will look like in the future. And as you can see from these examples, couple of things you can recognize from the signals and trends. And most probably half of it is pure creativity and your imagination. So when we talk about future forecast, half of it is fact-based, examples-based, and half of it is creativity. And I will leave you with a couple of questions which might be useful for you in order to create this future forecast. So for instance, what will become more usual in the next 10 years? From things which you see, from things which you read, and we can agree that most probably more technologies, more something. What will become less usual in the next 10 years? Maybe it will be less usual to go to the hospital in the upcoming 10 years. Maybe something else you will discuss. What will become possible in the next 10 years? Currently, it's not possible to say when we are going to die, but maybe we all believe that in 10 years it might be true. What new problems will occur during the next 10 years? So for instance, with regulation, with efficacy of all these technologies, we still need to solve all these problems. And more of them are coming, the decline of democracy, the climate refugees, and so on. All these things we will deal with in the upcoming 10 years. What will surprise humanity in the next 10 years? Out of all things, what might surprise you personally? And we can't predict the future, but you can create it. So thank you so much for listening to my talk, and I'm happy to discuss now things with you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Justina.
you.
Really, what an inspirated talk. I'm trying to give you applause in the
Yeah.
Zoom, but it's not working for me. But so far, I can say we have been having people listening to us from the United States, Spain, Turkey, Sweden, Belgium, Czech Republic, Germany. So it's been quite well outspread message. But I must say, personally, you are really challenging us with the online hospital and the hospital at home. It's really a challenging idea for a doctor who is used to work in a hospital. And then my immediate question is, who is going to take responsibility when things do not go the right way? We cannot, I mean, AI nurse cannot take responsibility if the algorithm didn't went right? So it comes down to the, to the personal level. Who's going to take responsibility when things do not go as they are supposed to? And I probably you don't have the answer, or maybe you do, but that was one of my first questions after listening to you.
I think it's a very good question, and that's why we need to work in international organizations as yours and actually create these rules who will take responsibility, because currently it's not even legal to do the operation like sitting in one country and doing it in another one, but we have already these solutions in place and they are like active, and we have even Lithuanian startups and Tante who is working in this area. But I think it's a challenge for all of us. It's one thing who will take responsibility, another thing how we will change our expectations. I mean, not just doctors or in hospital professionals, but also patients, because we are still willing to come to the hospitals. And I'm pretty much sure that that's why you are overloaded and overbooked, because not all of them they should come. And maybe in the near future, we will find the way how we can separate these cases which needs to be addressed in the hospital and how we can take care of patients at home. But I think that we all agree that these changes are happening now. We can see some signals, and as we change other industries, I'm not saying that banking is similar to healthcare, because it's not the same at all. But still, you know, when we started this change in banking industry, everyone, you know, thought that it's not possible to live without the cash. It's not possible to live without the bank, but I'm not sure, you know, I'm traveling the world and I don't have my card with me anymore because I'm using phone. So I think that it's very, very good question. And we need, as a society, as a professional community, think about it. And you know, with all these signals which I mentioned, they can happen, or we can take conscious actions to prevent them from happening. But you know, one or another way, it's still going there.
Thank you, Justina. We have a question from Marta. So she writes that thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. What do you think, Justina, is the best way to stay up to date with emerging technologies and innovation trends without becoming in such a fast evolving world?
Very good question. I always ask this question myself. So I think the best way to approach all this constant change, and we have so many different technologies, identify those which are the most, which might have the most positive impact to your work. If you feel that you will start working more and more with a robotic, try to embrace it, try to learn it, try to participate in all possible trainings and conferences, read articles. If you think that it will be artificial intelligence, take at least some a general course, try to understand, try to read about it. If it's something else, try to also dig into this area deeper. I am not a strong believer that we need to learn everything, because I mean, if we even will take just one artificial intelligence and its application into one domain or small area, the information overload we will feel. So try to identify, first of all, technology which you are interested in, then try to start from like basic things, maybe one or two articles, maybe some online course, and then you will see which area fascinates you, which area are the most interesting, useful for you, and then you can dive into it deeper.
But do you think that technology is developing faster than our societies and we humans are able to cope with?
Oh,
And
sure.
what can we do about it?
I think it's like 100% true, because look, we are living in this artificial intelligence world already 3 years. 3 years when it's ChatGPT mainstream. Still, till today, I have discussions with clients, with different audiences, that we're asking, Justina, do we need to start using it? I mean, not using, we need already to think how we can change our work processes, how we can incorporate them into our daily routines and so on. It's not question about usage anymore. And I think that for the majority of us, myself included, we can't see the change, how fast it's happening, you know. We think that it's, I will take action maybe in 2026, it won't come in my area and so on. But then I participated last week in this conference, and then half of the speeches were about beyond the human workforce. I sit and thought to myself, oh my God, my business model is not working like it's supposed to. I'm not talking about things which I'm supposed to talk, and so on. So we are not noticing this change, how fast it is.
Yeah.
How can
And
we
you said
cope
about
with that?
yeah.
But how
It's
can we
okay.
cope with that? How can we, try to adapt to the speed of the changes? What is your advice?
So what I took from this conference myself, I created, literally created 3 years plan. What competencies do I need to gain? And for instance, on one end, I wrote something related to technologies. On another end, I wrote something related to the creativity, because I still feel that, for instance, I am motivated by some creative work. So on one end, I wrote to myself, artificial intelligence agentic like agentic artificial intelligence, not ChatGPT anymore, agentic artificial intelligence. So for me, it's very interesting to learn how I can optimize processes, what can I do with, for instance, even innovation development itself, how can I use agent? On another end, I wrote marketing. How can I use technologies to learn and work more with the creative ideas? Because at the end of the day, we are selling each and every day. You are selling to your patients some news, some solutions. I am selling like innovation that you need to create, you need to do. So these things. And then from there, I will, next year plan is Gen AI. So how it will change. So basically step-by-step guide, what I took for myself. I can't learn everything. I don't have enough time. I have 3 kids, I have family, I live in foreign country. So I need small steps, something tangible.
Well, I really learned this about the Felix Klimatbutiken. I'm going to find it on the internet in Sweden. It was completely new to me. So I'm very curious to know what where they are about and where they can offer. So that was very interesting. But another reflection that I had is the concept you introduced of perma-crisis, that there is never going to be the right timing. And I think we can relate to that in many other aspects in our life. It's never going to be the right time to take the step to take this, head of the department role or professorship or whatever. So it's never going to be the right time. So you just have to make the conditions around you as good as possible to make it work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Carmen, especially when we talk with women in leadership or in communities, we always want to fit like 100% all requirements. But at this environment, we never ever will be able to fit 100 percent these requirements. So as you say, for sure, we just need to embrace the change. We need to raise our hand and we can say to ourselves, we can do it. And everything what we don't know, we can learn. Because basically, you know, the advantage of this situation is that no one knows what to do. Not hospital managers, because I met a couple of them last week and I constantly discuss with them. They don't know what to do. Some experts, AI experts, they know just small area, robotic experts or any other. So basically, no one knows what to do because the change is so fast. So I think for us, it's unique opportunity in the history where really we can take the leadership roles, where we can raise our hands and say, I will be the one who will do one or another thing. The sad news is that unfortunately, the newest research shows that women adoption of AI is like twice as low as men. But I think, it's such a great opportunity for us. We really can learn because as it's completely new technology, everyone is struggling. So why not we can show the world, our teams, our colleagues, how to use it, what to do, from where to start. And it shouldn't be like a huge change. Maybe we can start just experimenting with one or another system, because with AI, the last thing which I will share maybe before you will ask another question. For me, AI, it's unique opportunity to make my work more efficient so I can do it faster, to make me smarter, because each time I can ask, how can I do it better? And the third level is that I can ask, how can I do new things which I never did before? So it's like superpower. Honestly, it's like superpower. So why
like
not
an
now? Why
inspiration source, right? It's like an inspiration source.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I used to work alone, for instance. Maybe some of you feel that you are working alone or you are leading teams alone. So now you are not alone. You always can ask, what can I do differently? How can I motivate my team? How I can change my behavior? If I said this one, how should I next time say it better, and so on? It's amazing. it's Pandora box.
So continuing, Justina, about talking about AI. So we have a question for Sarah. So Justina, thank you, fantastic talk. We are using more and more the AI. My feeling is that is growing faster than our capacity to adapt, as Carmen just told. My reflection question is, if we use AI as a diagnostic tool, who has the responsibility if there is a mistake? Maybe doctors, the hospital that pays for the tool, the engineer team that create the application. So the question would be like this.
So, I believe that I won't start like discussing who is responsible. My message here is that we can't not use it. That's why in the hospitals, we need to have very, very rigid requirements how we can use it. We can't share medical data with it. If it's not built internally, we can't do this one, that one, or whatever it is. But we should have these regulations in place. So the first step is to agree within the hospitals what are the regulations and how we can use it. And I think within these regulations, you will answer these questions. Because for me to answer generically, is it like one responsibility or another? It's very difficult because it depends what for you will use it. Are you trying to use artificial intelligence to make a surgery, or you are trying to improve your paperwork process, or what for? So that's why I would say that let's start from the beginning. Let's agree within our organizations what are the rules, how can we use. And then, of course, educate all our staff, all our employees how to do it properly. And then maybe the third step is to educate how to use these tools at all, because we are very different. Our technological readiness level are quite different. So these would be the steps.
Okay, thank you. And LK is continue asking the same question I had as well, Justina. So LK is asking, do you think on psychological level women feel like cheating when using AI? And I had the same question. What is your intake like on women innovations and leadership? What is the strengths or weaknesses? How do you see it?
So regarding the cheating, I guess that no one came this morning to work by horse carriage. Everyone drew a car. So are we cheating? I don't think so. I think, society brings us new possibilities. We need to embrace and use them, and it's not cheating. Of course, if you are just posting and copying everything without critical thinking, then we are like eliminating the superpower which we have. So I'm not using like this artificial intelligence, but I think that it's really superpower. Regarding the leadership roles, can you repeat a little bit question how we can embrace it? Or
yeah, what do you say, what's the weaknesses about women in innovation and leadership? Because it's like, yeah.
Okay, I will paraphrase your question. Not what are the weaknesses, but what are the strengths of
Yeah.
in innovation. So the first one is empathy, for sure. We are more ready. We can scan the environment better. We can feel another person better. It's our like the most the single one most important thing. Another thing, women care about different things than men. For instance, when I work with women innovators, they care more about, I don't know, elderly care, children health, something else, and usually men, they are not interested in this area. And the third thing, what are our strengths? So it's all our opinion and what we are bringing to the table. So half of the society are women, and if we are not participating in innovation dialogue, so it means that half of the world are not heard. So I think these are the main things which we really need to think about daily. We know what to say. We have our own opinion. If we think that maybe it's not enough strong, just share it, because most probably it will be completely different from our colleagues' men. So
I really really like the way you turn the questions from weakness
Yeah.
to strength. And that's just mindset. So that's really one of the strongest things I bring with me from your talk today. But my final question would be, are you worried somehow? Is this going too fast? Can we cope with this? Do you have any, anything that worries you about this development? Is it anything within you as an innovator that you're still a little bit, worried about that is going too fast for the humankind to cope with?
Yeah, sure. I'm worried about younger generation. I'm worried that we are becoming more and more addictive to these technologies. I'm worried that we are not talking enough how to use these technologies. I'm worried that we are not talking about digital, like what it is. Life without digital things, how to disconnect from them, how to have some spare time without technologies. I'm worried a lot about ethical usage of it. I don't know who will decide it, because from what I see now, the majority of decisions are held in social media companies' owners' hands or artificial intelligence founders' hands, which worries me a lot, because we have like more corporate interest than society interest. And I'm worried as well that we are not active enough in this dialogue. I think that as with patients, we are not involved enough into the dialogue, how all these changes are happening. I think that we are also not enough involved.
Okay. So thank you, Justina, on behalf, I think, of me and Carmen and all women in WoEUPSA and everyone who joined us today. The talk was really inspiring and reminded us that the future, I think, is something we created step by step. And as Carmen again noticed, that we should focus more on our strength as a woman. And you gave us very clear steps how to do it. And thank you everyone for joining us, and it will be on YouTube channel, I think. And if you want to watch it again,
I'm trying to share the QR code again, but it's going so. You don't see my QR code, right?
We see it, but it's very small.
You see it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can try to make it bigger. Let me see if I can see my own screen.
But it works, Carmen.
It works. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And thank you so much, Justina. This was really, really, truly inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Scary, but inspiring too.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Ausra. Thank you.
Bye, Carmen. Bye.
Thank you.